Hello, welcome back to our dandy home. Today I'm going to be talking about my birth story. So I have little Bane with me here. He's about 3.5 weeks now. And yeah, I'm just going to talk about my experience, and I don't know if that can be helpful for anybody out there who's going to be going through a birth. Bane is my second baby, and my first birth with my first son, he went really well. I mean, pretty good too. I think it was pretty average. And with this one, in my third trimester, I had kind of heard about this Bradley method. I don't know if you've heard of it. If you haven't and you're pregnant, I would really recommend listening to the book. I was able to listen to it on Audible. I was able just to sign up for a free month, so I got to listen to it for free, basically. I thought it was very good. It had a lot of good information about hospitals, especially if you end up going to the hospital. I thought that was kind of good. I was able to have him here at my home with my midwife, so which I had my first son at home with my midwife, and I really liked that a lot. Being able to just stay at home and not have to worry about going anywhere. I think if I was at the hospital, who knows what I would probably do, if I would want epidural or want to go to the C-section. I don't know. Just because when I'm in it, I don't trust myself, I think. Or if you're home, you're just stuck there at that point. So the Bradley method, in a gist, if you don't know what it is just kind of about really getting into the deep relaxation to hopefully have a pain-free delivery and birth, and just really breathing deeply and just really relaxing your whole body, so that way you can have a pain-free delivery, or it's possible to have a pain-free is what they say. So anyway, how it happened to me was Tuesday morning, I was starting to have like very light contractions about every 10 minutes, 5 minutes, but they're incredibly light. Really, I didn't really have to stop or anything. And they were very consistent from 11 in the morning all the way till like the afternoon. They were very consistent, just but they were very light all day long. And I think in the afternoon at some point I ended up calling my mom, because she was gonna come over, and she was there with my first birth, and she was just very encouraging and helpful, and so we were going to have her come over with this one. And I also had my son, my little 2-year-old, at home, and we didn't know if she would have to take him out or if we were going to have my sister take care of him, which it ended up being my sister and her family all had the flu. So they couldn't take Ledger or my other son. So anyway, I think I called my mom in the afternoon, and they said they were still very light, but they were so consistent. And so I think she came over just to be with me around 6-ish, I think if I'm remembering right, something like that, in the evening. And it was fun. We just kind of we watched TV show, and my son was with us, and it was relaxing. And then throughout the night, they started to get a little stronger. I would lay down and try to really relax, but they were still very light. Like when I say a little stronger, it was still very easy to sit through them, but I would relax just because it was more comfortable. And I think I went up to bed, and I kept having contractions throughout the night, but then around 4 a.m. I remember falling like into a deep, long sleep because the contractions just kind of stopped. And I think I woke up around 7 or 8-ish or so, and I was like, wow, they like kind of stopped. And my mom ended up falling asleep on the couch all night. So I was a little like kind of bummed, because I was like, did the contractions just stop? And I think my midwife came over that Wednesday morning to check me around 9 and to see how I was doing, because I ended up actually had an appointment scheduled that day anyway. And she came and she checked me, and I was actually 4 centimeters, which was surprising to me because with my first birth, by the time I was at 4 centimeters, I was like, had really hard contractions. And I think when I was at 4 centimeters with my first birth, I thought the baby was like coming. I think I told my husband to get the pool out, and I got in the pool. And so anyway, but with this one, just really like contractions, and they kind of even really slowed down. I was still getting them, but they were like really inconsistent. Sometimes they would be 20 minutes or sometimes 5. It was just really inconsistent. She said if I wanted to, because I was 4 centimeters, I could take castor oil because I asked her about it. But my husband that day on Wednesday had to close. So he said, please don't take castor oil until it's like later in the day. Because he needed to close with work. And so she ended up, when she checked me, she did do that. I never remember what that's called. And I still can't remember. I always call it deveining, and I know that is not what it's called. Oh well. I think if you were pregnant before, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And maybe if you're not have never been pregnant before, you have no idea what I'm saying. So that doesn't matter. Anyway, we'll just keep moving on. So then throughout the day, they did kind of start to, they always kept coming, and they were a little bit more consistent, and they slowly got worse and worse. And I think around the afternoon, or 2 or 3, I think my mom left to get some groceries, and I put my 2-year-old son down for a nap. And I remember at that point I came downstairs and I felt really frustrated because I was getting harder contractions, and they've been coming for so long now, almost 2 days, and just feeling like, even though they weren't super hard, just feeling discouraged because I was like, I want to get this going. This has been going for so long, and it's just kind of tiring. And also, I think because I was left home alone for the first time in a while, I think your brain works more when you're home alone. Anyway, it's just because you're just funny, I think, when you're pregnant. Your hormones, you cry over everything. It doesn't matter what's happening. I cry over any little thing. So then anyway, my mom came back from grocery shopping, and my husband had come for lunch, and then he left. And when she came back, was it around 4-ish or so, they were starting to get a little bit stronger, still pretty light. Well, when I say light, they're very bearable. I was still watching TV, but they were getting a little harder, and I would try to relax. And and it just kind of stayed on that way for a while. And then around, was it like 5:30 or so to 6, my water broke, and I was just laying on the couch resting. I think it was around 5 o'clock. I decided to get up and vacuum because I was like, I want this vacuum before the baby comes, and maybe it would help move things along. Well, I vacuumed, and then I laid on the couch because I was kind of tired. And then I felt a pop, and my water broke, and it was just like a really light trickle. So then I called my midwife and let her know that the water broke. And she said, and I said, but I don't think tractions are really coming very quickly or anything, so I don't really know if you have to rush over here. So she said she was just getting off work that day, and she was gonna go home, and if they get stronger, to call her right away. And then she was gonna make her way over, but she was just gonna take her time. Since I didn't think it was very quick, I didn't know. But little did I know, as soon as the water broke, it was around 6 o'clock that they really started to get stronger. And so I went upstairs and laid in bed. I was trying to really relax, and my mom was with me, and she was just very helpful. But my son started screaming because I'm like not paying attention to him. Mom's trying to help him, and he wants to know that I'm okay, and he wants just to lay next to me or be with me, just really was getting really like agitated because I wasn't really doing anything with him. So he was screaming, and I was laying in bed trying to figure out if I should call the midwife. And then they started to get stronger, but my mom was so helpful. She would, right at that time, she was just so helpful. She would rub my legs, just for some reason, when you have your legs, my legs rubbed, she would rub my calves while I was in that hard labor. And I don't know why, but if it kind of subconsciously took your mind off of things, but it was so relaxing, so helpful. I don't know why that was so wonderful, and she was always she was rubbing me down. Anyway, so she ended up texting the midwife for me, I think. And I think I told the midwife, maybe you should kind of get over here. And then I also called my husband and said, I think we need you to come home. I mean, I think they're getting stronger. And luckily he did have a replacement, you know, like just in case he had to leave. So he called the replacement. He came home within about 15 to 20 minutes. And as soon as he came home, he took Ledger. And as soon as he came home with Ledger, my son, then Ledger was fine. He just needed daddy. Husband took him downstairs, and then I was able just to try to relax on the bed. And the contractions were much harder now. And for me, probably because I didn't practice the Bradley method as much as I should have, like the book says, it was really hard for me to relax at this point. But the midwife got there about probably 6:30, and she had her doula, which was the same girl that helped me with my first son, and she was so helpful, both of them. And my mom was there. She would rub my arms, rubbing me down, and the doula was there, and it was all just very, very helpful. And in the pool, the water was really nice to be in, the warm water. And I kept moving in positions, but I don't know really which it was the best position. And then in the end, which you always hear, you know, if you're having a hard time pushing, they'll say that in the Bradley book, maybe squat or get on your knees, which I was on my knees for a big part of the time while I was actually in labor. But when I actually came to pushing, I ended up just laying on my back, laying like against the pool, like there. And it just seemed like that was the best, most comfortable position. And through all this, my 2-year-old was still here. But it ended up being just fine. It didn't matter. It seemed like that my son was here because my husband just put on he likes to watch trucks on YouTube, and he ended up just watching trucks in the other room, and he could care less what was going on, which was so amazing and surprising to me. And I think my dad came too. He was downstairs and he was praying for me. And for me personally, that was just so encouraging to have those people around me. And and that's kind of how it was with my last birth. I had pretty much all those people except for my son around. And it went so well. So anyway, I was pushing, and I think I was pushing for quite a while with this one. Compared to my last one, it seemed like I didn't push very long at all. But I would push, and then I would relax, and then I would, with contractions, I would try to push when she said a push. And it was really nice, like the book says in the Bradley method too, and this kind of worked out with me just because I had such a wonderful midwife too that knows if you take your time pushing, you have a better chance not to tear. Like if you just, especially even when he's halfway out or like his head is partially out, just take a break and then wait till your contraction and then push some more. You have a better chance not tearing because you allow your muscles to stretch. And so that really worked so well for me that we just took a while to push, and it was good. And so he was born around, I think it was at 8:30 8:35 or 8:38 in the evening. And I asked my midwife, how much do you think I was dilated by the time you got here? And she said she thought I was probably dilated about 8 centimeters without, she didn't check me, but just with her opinion, which was amazing to me, because I was discouraged that it took so long, but I was in labor for like 2 days in super light labor, and I got all the way till about 8 centimeters when my water broke, till it started becoming really hard, which is really amazing. And I don't know if it's because I was relaxing with the Bradley method or if that's just how it went that time. I have no idea. But I was just so surprised how just light the contractions were up until my water broke, and then I was in hard labor for, let's say, 2 hours. And I ended up not tearing at all, which was amazing, because my first son, I had these very, very slight tears. She never had a stitch or anything, but she said they were like paper cut tears, very, very light. And my first son weighed 7 pounds, 11 ounces, I think. And then this guy weighed 8 pounds, 13 ounces. So kind of amazing. And I didn't tear at all with him. So I was so excited, so happy about that. And he came out super healthy, no problems. And so just sharing my positive experience, I guess. So if you have a long labor, I guess that's not always a bad thing. But I ended up never taking the castor oil or never trying to speed it up, and which ended up being the best thing for me, because I took a long time, but it was the best way to happen, because, and plus I know castor oil can be way hard. I've heard a lot of experiences, but when I'm pregnant, I always end up feeling like at 37 weeks, I want to take castor oil, but that's just because I'm always incredibly impatient. But yeah, and I was 40 weeks and 2 days, I think. So he was 2 days over his due date. Thanks for listening to my ramblings. And if you're about to go into labor, just hopefully I can send some encouragement. I know, yeah, I send some encouragement your way, that even if it's taking a long time, maybe that's a good thing. I didn't realize how much my body had done just with really light work. Got all the way up to pretty much 8 centimeters, which is absolutely amazing to me. So yeah, thanks for watching.